for them because they came out there ready to crank it up and win a big game today, and with the highest of hopes as we did, and we didn't sync it up the way we wanted to.
High hopes going up for Pete Carroll. Russell Wilson missing the playoffs for the first time in his career. Let's take a look now at the final NFC wildcard schedule. The Falcons are headed to L.A. take on the Rams on Saturday night. Wow. They have not met head-to-head yet this season. So here's how I feel about today.
Yeah.
It's the day after this wild, almost exhaustingly entertaining day of football. And what we get to do is sort of piece it together, sort of like a New Year's Eve night. You have a great time, you're looking at your camera roll, who you called last night, a lot happens, and you wake up the next day and you're like, what, who, what, why did I call my ex 17 times? And we'll do that for you. We will tell you guys everything, and let's start with what's going to be a really exciting Saturday night matchup between the Falcons and the LA Rams. Shregs.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Right.
There's such a cool element here where it's in L.A. on Saturday night. The sun's going to be just setting. Al Michaels on the call. Al Michaels' first game ever calling a Rams game in L.A. It's going to be awesome. Collinsworth Michaels. And I have to think this is almost like the old battered heavyweight, the Falcons. They have been through so much, right? This is a team that has been through the wreckage. Everyone's excited about it. I can't wait for this because this is the perfect matchup of the team that everyone knows, and it's almost like, oh, the Falcons against a team that everyone's so excited to see that we don't know. Ah, the Rams, and they're going to clash on Saturday night. This is Saturday Night Live to me. This is amazing.
Yeah, and as much as I've been critical of this squad, I have to give them credit to 10-6. Now, I can break down the X's and O's and talk about Matt Ryan and how they threw the ball a ton, and Julio Jones did get involved, Taylor Gabriel, all these different scenarios and variables to going into the postseason. But guess what? They are here. And they're a team that was in the Super Bowl last year going up against the Rams. I got to give them credit. Now that they're in, okay, I have to be honest, I'm scared of the Falcons.
Okay. Especially after seeing what Cam looked like.
Yeah.
The Panthers, the Saints didn't look great either. So out of the NFC South, the Falcons do look a little scary, and they have the experience.
That's it. They limped their way in, and now all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself, holy smokes. Could this be the most talented team in the postseason? Yes, they are.
I'm so fired up about the NFC. This feels to me like when the NCAA tournament comes and you print the bracket. We got the bracket now, and there's always that one regional that is just loaded, and they got Duke and Villanova and Xavier and whatever. That's the NFC.
The group of death.
The group of death. And I feel like in my adult life, I cannot think of an NFC playoffs where anybody could win it, that is more wide open. And that includes a 1 seed that might be vulnerable. I mean, the Eagles at the 1 might be the most beatable team right now. So I am ready for bedlam, madness, no chalk. Anything could happen in the NFC. I'm so fired up.
I mean, to me, going into this game, or going into this last week, I was excited about the quarterbacks in the NFC South because of the experience. Whatever, they did not look as good. Foles didn't look great in the small amount he played, but I'm looking, Drew Brees didn't look great. Matt Ryan, that field goal is 5 in the second half. So I'm looking at the Vikings to me. Or like I finally, after last week, I'm like, wow, Case Keenum, that's still right now, as we stand, look like the most well-rounded. That defense is so legit. But then I think I've never played in the NFL, but I've never asked any player. I've never gone up to them and said, hey, what's the difference between the playoffs and the regular season? And then them say nothing. It's the same. It is. Everyone says it's a totally different animal. It's undefeated. You've played there. You know it's a different speed, a whole different animal. And so then I think you got to give the OG vets the love and the advantage.
And there's no feeling with the Rams where they're so young. And everyone says, well, Andrew Whitworth's been there. Andrew Whitworth's never won a playoff game. He was the Bengals. Connor Barwin's their veteran. Connor Barwin's never won a big playoff game. Like, the Falcons are loaded with young and old talent that have been there, done that, won big games, lost a huge game. And the Rams are so green from the coach down on.
But they're so talented, though. So talented on both sides.
Even to that point, Kay, you're talking about a different field. Yesterday, it was a different field. I'm week 17, and I'm glued to the screen.
You're right.
Whoa, this is an amazing game. Can you imagine what the playoffs are going to be like? It's 2018. These games are going to be lit. Hashtag, that is.
Falcons defense deserves a huge nod of credit. They are the reason I think that they will get far now that they are in and celebrating. And shout out to Russell Wilson and those Seahawks. Great season. He individually had one of the best seasons, I think the best season of his career. Hopefully it's not forgotten because they're not in it. All right, now for all the latest news from around the league, let's welcome in our very own NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport this morning. Happy New Year to you, Ian. Hope you had some sleep last night. Probably not. You're probably working all night. I know.
A little bit.
Yeah, we had some weird, stunning news last night. Jack Del Rio was relieved of head coaching duties by the Raiders and owner Mark Davis following their loss to those Chargers. Where do things stand in Oakland's pursuit of one John Gruden?
Well, they are going, and that's one thing the Raiders did yesterday was kick off this pursuit of the ESPN analyst, someone Mark Davis has long held in high esteem and always wanted to hire as the Raiders head coach. They took a big step yesterday in informing Jack Del Rio that despite the fact that he had 3 years left on his contract, got a new deal this past offseason, by the way, that he was moving in a new direction. So Del Rio, who built the foundation of the Raiders, took them from the abyss, brought them to the playoff for the first time in a decade. He is now officially out, and from what I understand, the Raiders would not make this move unless they had complete confidence that they'd be able to bring John Gruden from the booth to the Oakland Raiders and soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders. They're looking for something buzzworthy. This would be buzzworthy. Keep an eye on Rich Gannon, the commentator and former quarterback, of course, as the quarterback's coach for Gruden.
Now, the Colts, they took down the Texans to close out the 2017 season, and we learned after the game that it was indeed Chuck Pagano's last game in charge. Where will GM Chris Ballard begin his search for the next head coach for the Colts?
Well, there are a couple familiar names, from my understanding, on the Colts list. And you're right, Chuck Pagano officially fired last night, and now new general manager, first-year general manager, Chris Ballard gets to hire his own coach. And there are several people he knows very well who will be candidates. One of those would be considered a top candidate for this job. Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. Of course, having Andrew Luck there is a huge draw for any offensive mind, and this will be something the Colts are going to consider. Dave Tobley, special teams coach, respected special teams coach from the Chiefs. He is expected to be on the list. Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs, also has a good relationship with Ballard. He's on the list, too.
We've heard a lot about Matt Nagy here on the show because if Peter wants to watch. Thanks, Peter, for this hat I'm about to steal.
Yeah.
And Don, I feel like I need to wear this too.
Right now.
You taking pictures of me, bro? Okay.
New year, new me, Kay.
Is that right? The Bills dramatically reached the playoffs yesterday for the first time since 1999. We are partying like it's 1999 here on the program with my lemon water with ginger.
Yeah,
it's really a real partying.
All right.
But they've got to go and face Jacksonville. Are they going to have LaShawn McCoy, who left the game with an injury, on a cart?
Well, here's my understanding. It is a sprained ankle. X-rays were negative. That's good news for the Buffalo Bills. At this point, his status is best described as up in the air, which is not necessarily great news, but it's not terrible news either, because this is not a 4 to 6 week injury where he's definitely going to be out. You know he's going to try to play. You know it's likely. You know that he's not going to be 100%. It's really just a matter of what the Bills actually get on the field. It's been the first time in forever since they made the playoffs. This is the key piece to the team. If he can possibly physically do it, he will be out there. The Bills just don't know how healthy he'll be.
Ian, let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. After a heartbreaking loss, what's the latest with their defense coordinator?
Well, I just got an email from Dean Pease, their longtime defensive coordinator. He tells me that he is going to inform his team this morning that he is retiring from the NFL effective March 1st. And one of the great defensive minds of the last decade who has helped the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously this year and the past several years, become one of the best defensive teams in the NFL, is officially walking away. Also a longtime defensive coordinator for the Patriots before this.